Time being 7:30, the zoning board of appeals will come to order.
Recording in progress.
This meeting is being recorded and televised. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. The meeting will be held via Zoom. You can log in, you can go to the website, town's website, find the Zoom login. You may also join the meeting on a smartphone by calling 1-929-205-6099. For those looking to view the meeting, it will be viewed live at this time on Comcast 9 or Verizon 29. It's also streaming directly from Franklin TV's website. Visit franklin.tv and just click on the Town Hall TV channel.
On this evening's agenda, the time being approximately 7:30 p.m. The first item is 30.
Yeah, hang on 1 minute. We're gonna skip that for now because they're both, the first two are continuing. So we're gonna go right into general business because we have somebody who was a previous applicant in here. Is John Jewell here?
I am.
Why don't you come up and we'll try to get rid of
And
this.
my apologies, my attorney is still
Well,
on.
whatever. We got an attorney. You might not need one.
Thank you very much.
I guess it's incumbent upon you to tell us what you want to do, because I read this and I have a different opinion about what you're asking for, but I had a talk with Jamie today and he kind of explained it to me, so.
Okay. Well, my name is John Jewell. I'm principal of J. and Jewell and Associates. I am the developer of Franklin Ridge Senior Housing. It's a 100% affordable senior housing complex. We are at this point, thanks to your efforts and the town's about to close on the finance of this project. And so last time we were back here was in 2019 when we got our initial comprehensive permit from you in order to build this project. Subsequently, over the last 6 years, things have changed since that in regards to technicality, minor modifications to the comprehensive permit, which basically relate to the major ones being the roadway extension and the booster pumping station that was completed by the town, not us. We originally were scheduled to do that. Subsequently, that makes the comprehensive permit needing some modifications in order to take that out of the equation and also get approval from the project lenders as the project currently stands. So this project, basically what my attorneys do, and Hannah Kilson, who's on her way unfortunately from Boston, maybe got caught in some traffic.
If she gets here late, she might not bill you.
You think so? Well, I'll let her know.
Yeah.
But Hannah Kilson from Nolan Sheehan is my attorney who's been working on closely with me. She's the principal partner for Nolan and has been working on this particular document in regards to the modifications that needed to be done in order to be acceptable to the project lenders. So that is in essence, what we were asking for tonight is the minor modifications in order to be in conformance with Chapter 40B still, but also be able to do what we have to do in relationship to meeting the limit.
You're getting billed now.
My apologies. I thought we were going to be last.
Perfect timing, because I was running out of things to say until you got here.
My apologies to everybody. Sorry about that, John.
I just told them that you were coming from Boston.
I thought maybe you wouldn't bill him if he didn't get here.
I wouldn't have. You're absolutely right.
You lost out.
There might have been a credit to the bill.
Yeah.
So before I end, I do want to express my great appreciation to Jamie, the town officials, yourselves, everybody who's worked on this project over 6 years. It was with your efforts and tremendous efforts at that, we were able to leverage an enormous amount of state funding in order to make this project work. And it'll benefit the Franklin community, senior community, into perpetuity, which is, what we always dreamed of for this particular project. And will, couple with Eaton Place next door, which I was involved in, 10, 15 years ago. It's a dream to have this kind of development come to realization. So hopefully by the end of September, early October, we will close on the financing and commence construction. And that's what everybody wants. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to Hannah Kilson and ask her to go through the particulars on what we're requesting.
Well, I think, we got it. I don't know if anybody, I'd rather just ask some questions about it.
That would be
Because
great.
What I've been
Love
told,
it.
there may not be a lot of questions. You know what I
Great.
mean? But, Mark, do you want to comment on this? Have you looked at this? You had some trepidations, I understand, but you can sit at the chair.
I assume they had to be on the microphone. Oh, you mean over
You can
here?
sit there if you want, wherever you're most comfortable.
This is fine.
won't
I'm not
take that
taking the
personally.
lead here. I'm here if any issues or questions arise, having heard their presentation. Hannah and I have had extensive back and forth in all variety of communications. And she's explained the documents to me, and I've given her some pushback. In some cases, there has been some modification. So the bottom line is, as I understand it, no matter what, this project is, as was originally intended, 100% affordable for seniors. There's some contingencies where language changes, but ultimately, there is a permanent affordable housing restriction, which will ensure the 100% affordability and the senior component, notwithstanding a whole lot of legal boilerplate all over the place.
Yep.
That's a fair statement.
I think that's a fair statement. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, when I first got this first blush, I didn't really like the idea because I have some concerns about what would happen if John Jewell happened to have to declare bankruptcy because things didn't work out. That means that somebody's gonna come in, get this project, only have to do 25% affordable, and then they got 75% at market rate. Is that true?
Well, so Chairman, if I can speak, it's not, I can't say that it's not true. Remember that there's an affordable housing restriction that's being put on the property, and the parties to that include the town, because the town is in the role as a lender here, as well as EOHLC, right, the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And that affordable housing restriction is on the property. It provides that all 60 units of the senior housing development are affordable units. 44 of them are for people at 60% of AMI or less, 4 are at 50% of AMI or less, and 12 are at 30%. That affordable housing restriction stays in place. The only factors under which it could be removed is because there is a foreclosure, and the senior lender determines that it's not economically feasible to continue either some portion of the affordability or all of it. And in that instance, you're right that what will remain is the comprehensive permit affordability, that 25% of the units will be at 80% of AMI. But still, what that allows the town is that all of those units are considered part of their subsidizing housing inventory. So, and I guess the piece I would also stress is having, in my practice, and with my founding partner who has been doing this, I've been doing this work for maybe 20 years, he's been doing it for about 40. Affordable housing projects in Massachusetts have a tremendous amount of state and local public support. I don't know of a project that has been in distress that the state has not used resources to try to determine out how to bring that project out of distress, right? So you've got a lot of commitment to the long-term affordability of the project, and the affordable housing restriction is one in which both the state and the town are holders of an interest in it.
Just so everybody knows what we're talking about, I probably didn't explain it right. These people have a comprehensive permit for something out behind the high school. The town donated the land for. What they're here for is for us to decide if the changes that they're proposing are insubstantial or substantial. If they're insubstantial, we don't have to do anything in 20 days from now. It goes for whatever they got written on the paper, what they agreed to with the town attorney. If we consider that it's substantial, then we have to schedule a public hearing within 30 days. They got to pay for the advertising and everything else. And from what I understand, this is kind of time sensitive.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've been working very hard to close this project.
we're
The
looking.
one thing you forgot to
yeah.
do was to send us a letter asking us.
Asking
We
us-
have no notification. I don't know, you might have notified Jamie, you might have notified Mark, but nobody notified the board.
I apologize
And
for that.
that's a requirement from what I've been told. So. Go ahead.
So if your concern is substantial versus insubstantial, the state has regulations in place where it set forth examples, and in my opinion, the state would consider this to be, all of these to be insubstantial. The building's not changing, the layout's not changing, the number of units is not changing, and everything else is like, most of it's either financial or technical construction components, and so the state would, in my opinion, not consider those to be substantial changes.
Okay. Good thing you came, because you represent the town. Anybody have any questions?
I've got a couple. So, originally, the land was given to you from the town for 100% affordables.
That's right.
And I think there's a lot of people in the audience here too, specifically a couple over there, that are really into the affordable housing.
Yeah, as we are.
So the intention was that this would remain 100% affordable for life.
Yep,
I would propose that this is probably a $20 million project.
30.
30, okay.
If you were doing a job, it'd be 20, it's gonna be 30.
Then we'll hire.
However,
we haven't signed the condition.
okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, if this was foreclosed on prior to even being occupied, something happens in the economy, another COVID, it doesn't work, it doesn't go through. Because there's a reason why a bank wants to have that flexibility, because there's no profit in these when they're done. And they know that, and that's why they're asking for the relief. So I guess my question would be, if it got foreclosed on and the bank is satisfied at 30 million, but someone stands up and pays 40 million for the product as a turnkey project, who gets that profit on that, where the town gave the land for free? Because it will bring more at an auction as a complete project than it would be
So,
as an affordable own.
So-
With 75% market rate, it brings a lot more value to that project.
so the project is going to be subject to mortgages from both Citizens Bank as the senior lender, but also to the state, EOHLC as a lender, and actually also to the town. And one of the things that EOHLC does when it, under the terms of its mortgage and calculating how much they get to pay back their loan, that includes the low-income housing tax credit benefits that have gone to a project. So the look is to ensure that affordability is reimbursed and maintained. So that's, and so that's the first piece, right, is that there's a lot of restrictions on the property that pushes down and depresses value. And let's be clear that no housing can be put onto this property that doesn't comply with your comprehensive permit. As long as the comprehensive permit is in effect, the housing on the property has to maintain that what I'm going to call the statutory baseline affordability. There isn't an ability for a market developer to shake loose of that. The other piece about the affordable housing development projects, as you know, in this town and in many of towns in our Commonwealth, the need for affordable housing is deep, right? And we struggle to meet it, which means that these, and why we find investors and lenders for these projects is they're actually very quite financially stable, right? Their ability to have income that generates sufficient to pay the debt service is almost guaranteed and creates a really safe financial structure for these projects that isn't typical in a market rate structure. This project also has the benefit of subsidies, right, that are being provided by the state to subsidize the rent of particularly the most deeply affordable units here, so again, this project can generate sufficient income. I don't think there's any concern about the capacity of this project to be able to lease up and to be able to be stabilized.
Can I just say that I've been doing this for over 40 years. My entire career is built around affordable housing. And very successfully from the point of view of I worked for Community Builders, which was the largest nonprofit before going on my own about almost 20 years from now. And I've done projects myself. But I also assembled a team that is professional, has a tremendously huge track record. TCB, the Community Builders, is my property manager. Delphi Construction, who we have executed a contract or about to execute a contract at closing with, has an extensive record in affordable housing. And the team, and my architect also has a 35-year track record. So we have done an enormous amount of work in order to make sure that we can do this. And I've worked with Citizens Bank. I've worked with the Permanent Lender Mass Housing Partnership. And they have given me this responsibility because of my past track record, but also my commitment to the town on this. So with all the commitments now in hand, we're just ready to get going in terms of starting construction and working through the next 17, 18 months to complete the project and get people in. So I'm very confident, and that's why I put my guarantees behind it.
So with that said, with all the expertise you have, what would, within $100, each unit go for as an affordable to a senior? What would be the rent, the monthly rent on an affordable? You must know those figures, you got plenty of them.
Oh, yeah, I do. And they're, they change by the time the project actually in '27 comes online. But for people that are, hold on a second, I do have that information.
Yeah.
I do have, and just please keep in mind that it's related to, this is within the Boston SMSA, which is is the highest in the state in terms of income. The average income median income for a family is $160,000, according to HUD statistics. So the current income has people who can make, for the lowest tier, for one person up to almost $34,700. For two people, $39,700. At 50%, $57,900. People can make up to $65,000 for two people, and we do have 6 units that are 2-bedroom, along with 54 1-bedroom. And then the 60% tier, $59,000, and with 2 persons up to $78,000. So it's covering both a low and moderate tier. And the rent structure is based on me. All the utilities are covered by me. This is a fully electric project, and from the new requirements that the state has in regards to that. And so the rents we try to keep as low as possible. And so as Hannah indicated, 12 units at 30%, we have Section 8 project-based Section 8 vouchers for that. For the 4 units at 50%, we have MRVP units, vouchers, project-based, can't go anywhere else. And then we have the 60% units. So the income for the 60%, we're trying to keep it at as low as possible. It's around $1,700 right now for a 1-bedroom and $2,000 for a 2-bedroom. But keep in mind, I'm covering all the utilities related to that and taking the risk on that part. We will have solar as part of this project, so hopefully we'll offset some of the utility costs through that. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does, but I'm just thinking mathematically, a $30 million project at 6% return for what, on interest on a note, is $1.8 million a year. At $2,000 a unit times 60, that doesn't bring enough money in to pay.
The Section 8s do, because the income limit, the FMRs that are provided are substantially higher. The government kicks in 75, I'm sorry, anything over the 30% that the tenants
So
come
you
in.
have Section 8, but Section 8 doesn't count on our figures, on the low income.
Wait, the project itself is a rental, therefore all the units
Yeah.
go toward your stock.
But typically, Section 8 payments don't count towards.
These are project-based, remember,
They're project, yeah,
and therefore they do count.
yeah, they do.
So you can make, if you were fully Section 8, you get a big win there.
We,
Not fully Section 8, because there is no such thing anymore. Eden Place was my last project, and actually the last one that was Franklin got the last amount of, largest project at that time in 2009 was funded through a full Section 8 program. Federal government has gotten out of that business. They give us long-term contracts for the Section 8 project-based units, as well as the MRVPs through the state, and therefore we get those, and we have the assurance of the state and the federal government from that perspective. But we do not, there is no such thing as, unless you're a public housing authority and you
Right.
have those already,
Correct.
there is no such thing as, a full Section 8 building anymore.
So I guess my last question would be along with that. It sounds great, I hope it goes forward, but with all that said and the assurities you're giving, why would a bank want to have the right to foreclose and sell it as a 75% market rate? If everything's so good, why would that be a stipulation on the financing?
so let me speak to the affordable housing restriction and the issue. So the affordability structure that is both, I would say, is required by the state, because this is coming from EOHLC and the affordable housing restriction, there is to ensure that our units are what I would call sustainably affordable, right? And that's not just around an issue of green environment, but it's the issue about ensuring that over the life cycle of a project, as a project goes in and out of the need to, every 10 or 15 years, carpets, new appliances, new furnishing, that you can continue to demonstrate to potential lenders that it is, that the project can generate the revenue necessary, and if there was any kind of foreclosure or economic trouble, the project would be able to have rents at the levels that could support the financial structure. So if you made all of these units 100% affordable, with no capacity, even when they're not financially feasible for them to be at that level, we couldn't finance this project, or we couldn't finance any affordable housing project. So the notion of the affordable housing restriction being in place only subject to foreclosure by the senior lender, and only where the senior lender demonstrates that it's not financially feasible to the state to keep some level of affordability intact. In the absence of that structure, these affordable housing development projects that we do throughout the Commonwealth wouldn't be able to be financed. And we might find ourselves able to finance at an initial stage. I'd question that, but you wouldn't be able to, in 15 years, when you need to rehaul the kitchens and the bathrooms and the exterior, you wouldn't be able to find financing to do that, and then these very valuable projects would lay waste. We wouldn't be able to maintain them. So this is about creating the structure that can cause people like Citizens, like TD Bank, Eastern Bank, to continue to be long-term lenders to affordable housing development.
I understand. Again, I'm just trying to get this all out in the open. Because
I appreciate it.
I know the council's coming up for another vote, and I believe it's gonna be voted on that to be no more friendly 40Bs for right now. And this has the potential to be a 75% market rate, 25% affordable, if something was to go awry, that has that opportunity to do that.
And that is really true with every comprehensive permit project.
Well, no, because every comprehensive that I've seen come forward is upfront 75%, 25%.
Well, I will say again that in the 40 years I've been involved in affordable housing, and I've done over 1,800 units between community builders, where I was for 20 years almost, and as J. and Jewell & Associates, I have never seen it such that it's ever gone to that effect. And that basically, in the worst-case scenario, the state, as Hannah has said, steps in, works with the town, works with all the actors to make sure that this remains affordable. That is after my guarantees are already gone in terms of what I've guaranteed. All the operating reserves we put into place, all the replacement reserves we put in place, all the protections of which, it's almost 300 documents that we go through at a closing, and that's why it takes so long to do.
I understand. I just think the heart of this was to donate the land to have affordable housing for seniors, and hopefully take care of Franklin residents who've been here, or someone local. now that I'm hearing Section 8's available, we could attract people from all over the state to come here on Section 8.
We have a preference, up to 70%, and I, will work through that and work with the town, work with the senior center, work with the council on aging, work with, to ensure that the maximum number of Franklin seniors who are eligible can get in to those units.
I understand.
I've done 12 senior housing complexes over my business career. All are successful. Mission Springs is the one you probably know closest in Holliston, 75 units. It's been operational for almost 30 years now. I
Okay,
sit on the
let's-
board
Let's
there.
try to move it along. Any
Okay,
other questions
I got
from
one
the board?
question
One
for,
more? Go
one
ahead.
question for Mr. Sino.
Sure.
So the question is, and I hope it never happens, and I hope it works out, but if this project was ever foreclosed on it one day, and the bank is satisfied and there's a $10 million excess, who gets that? Who makes that extra money? Does the town get that back for the land that we donated?
I don't believe that that is a realistic hypothetical from what was explained to you. The project is incredibly restricted, the amount of paperwork and the cross restrictions and all. And furthermore, the project, even if it were at 25% affordable, all comprehensive permits at 25% affordable. Any affordable project, correct me if I'm wrong, has a cap on profitability anyway.
Yeah, right.
So that restricts how much somebody is gonna wanna pay for it, because it would exceed their return on investment if they paid too much
Yeah,
money
no,
up
that's right,
front.
That's right.
Good
That's a
point.
good point. It's a limited
So-
dividend entities,
Yep.
yeah.
What's that, Joe?
Yeah.
Ashley, any questions? Okay. Joe, I mean, Janelle.
Just real quick, so anything in the proposed comprehensive permit changes, it doesn't really change the affordable housing structure.
No,
Right.
We're really just asking those questions, looking ahead, forward, and making sure we're thinking thoughtfully about any.
If something goes wrong with
Yeah.
the project.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I would just ask, I'd want to make sure that those changes are recorded. As you said, we didn't receive a letter directly, but,
They've been working with Jamie and Mark for
Yeah.
a couple of weeks anyway, right?
yeah.
Couple
Through
months.
you-
so,
through you, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. We've been working with lending calls for probably 3 or 4 months now, every week on Thursdays at 11.
Just had one.
I'll never get that time back in my life. It has been exhausting, and it is, to Attorney Sorrell's point earlier, there's just so many legal documents that go into this that's required by the Commonwealth. And just to be clear to the audience, most of these rules, if not all of them, are completely baked into state law, state
Right.
CMR, or regulatory issues. So we don't have any flexibility on the 70% cap for local residents. That's the maximum allowed. The profitability is capped by the state on any part of this. All of these rules are rules that we're working through the comprehensive permit law at the state level, so.
And just to add, because I think I heard you make a point saying about recording. So we have to record this modification to the comprehensive permit along with the comprehensive permit modifications and extensions that have already been recorded. We have to deliver to our lenders what we call the borrower's 40B certificate that lays out verbatim each of the conditions that are set forth in the permit and how those are to be satisfied. And then we have to provide evidence for things that we say are going to be satisfied during construction. We're required to show evidence at the conclusion of construction of their satisfaction. So again, this project, like many, there's a subsidizing agency here, it's EOHLC. That subsidizing agency oversees and monitors our compliance with your 40B permit. And so on the call that we just had this morning at 11, one of the asked questions that people posed to me is, when will we see the borrower's 40B certificate? And my response was, when we have the final modification, we'll prepare it and send it, and that will be reviewed and scrutinized. And the state's counsel, who's Ken Gould, who represents the town as a lender, will review that and approve that, as well as the other lenders and our equity investor.
okay.
All set?
I mean, I guess my question is just a procedural coming before the board, but I have not reviewed anything. Are we voting? Are we?
Well, I would hope that you'd take town attorneys, there it is, if you want to see. It's a lot of mumbo jumbo, all in red. That's why I didn't think it was a minor, insubstantial change. I thought it was a substantial
Well,
change. But other people have been looking at it.
Right. Through Mr. Chairman, quickly, like as the town attorney said before, this would be declared insubstantial according to the state. There's no modification to the site plan, there's no modification to the buildings, no modification to the bathrooms, the bedrooms, the height of the buildings, the structure up there, it's the same exact project.
Right.
What's before you tonight is basically a series of corrective changes that are lending calls through all of this bureaucracy, unfortunately, is requiring to be in the comprehensive permit. If the lending calls with the state on those calls, UHLC, and all of those other entities, when they're going through the review process, as we've been going through with them for 3 months, they come back with a series of changes that they need to see in the comprehensive permit. There's nothing structurally changing about the affordability, nothing changing the percentages, nothing that is of substantial interest to the community on the high-level view of this. It's still going to be 100% affordable, still going to be the same amount of units, all that. So it's all the same. So in talking to the state and working with the attorneys, they did not believe that we needed to send a letter for a substantial change to the ZBA for the comprehensive permit. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody from the audience got any questions? They probably understand about as much as we do, but, if you got a question, now's the time to ask it. If not, we're going to move along.
Hi, thank you.
Steve Malloy, 19 Russet Hill Road. I think Jamie maybe just touched on this, but I know this has been 6 years in the making. And I was going to ask what happened recently to kind of bring up this financing question. I would have thought this would have
They
been...
move closer to the top, they get what they need, they've been in position for 6 years. When they get to the point where there's going to be funding, then they have to straighten out the lending part.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was never discussed or understood earlier on. It just seems odd that this would come up at the last...
It's
At the finish line.
It's the day and age we're in. I'm convinced that TD, it's TD Bank, right?
Citizens is our senior lender.
Oh, Citizens Bank? Okay, I thought you said TD.
TD is, I reference Citizens, TD, and Eastern as kind of the primary lenders
Okay, because
in the
TD's
affordable housing
Toronto
construction.
Dominion. I figured, once Trump tried to annex Canada, I figured they were coming to make a jab over here, but
No.
anyway.
It really is that the financing for this project has only solidified in the last 6 months, which caused everybody to now turn to the document and look at the permit and identify the fact that the permit doesn't have the consistency of recognizing the affordable housing restriction. That is the mechanism for putting the 100% affordability on it versus the comprehensive permit having kind of the statutory structure of the
Okay, so I
25
guess
to
my
75.
the final question would be, who's asking for these changes?
They are being asked for by the borrower, because we know that that is what we need in order for it to be financed by the state, and that our lenders, when they would review this, would not accept it if it was in the current form, which suggests that it's 100% affordability even in the event of foreclosure.
I'm sorry, say that again. Who's asking for the changes?
The borrower, the development entity, the applicant.
Okay, not the banks, not...
Well, because of
We're asking
requirements
in
that
the
the bank puts in.
We know that the provisions of it would not be financeable because, without this. So we could sit and wait. It will take us another 6 months to get this financing through. I have the benefit of being both counsel to developers and counsels to lenders and counsel to the state. So we understand the 40B permits when we see them, whether these are 40B permits that as drafted will be compliant with the expectations of the state or not. And that's, in my review of this 40B permit, that was the conclusion, and that's why we made the recommendations to have these modifications to create that required structure.
Okay, I'll say I understand, but thank you.
Okay.
I call you a liar. Anyway, with all that being said, I'll entertain a motion, and we can get this. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair, for Hannah and John. I have a finding and decision letter here that has 24 notes on it.
Yep.
That is your amendment to your original 40B, correct?
Yes, it
You up to
says
date with your extensions?
Our extensions are
Yeah.
through 2025.
225.
Okay.
Ended 25.
So my question would be, so if the board does vote in the affirmative tonight on this general business discussion, that there's no place for them to sign on this. Do they need to have a location on this form to sign?
Listen, if we didn't do anything 20 days from now, it
Okay,
it
I
goes.
just want, I don't want to come back here.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
the insubstantial modification, we gave you a form of decision that we would propose. If the board does not want to sign it, we can create a signature, so I can add that to it and provide that with you. If the position is that without, because we'll then just need after 20 days, if that's the approach, then we'll need regardless, we'll need the city clerk to stamp it, and that it's valid so that we can record it.
If that's fine with everyone here, then I'll let
We got stamps, Casey can stamp, we got stamps, they'll take a stamp, won't they? A stamp of our signature?
No.
No, it has to be written.
Truth has copy from the clerk,
Okay.
the town clerk.
All right, well, she knows my signature, it's right on the
Or you'd
stamp.
have to have, you'd either have to have an original notarized form from you folks, or you file with the town clerk, she stamps it as attesting to its authenticity, and the registry will accept that. So
Okay,
that's the more common practice.
okay.
But
Gotta
we
be
can
signed by
provide
three.
the
So
Gotta be
signature.
signed by,
the board will not have to sign it.
Do we know if the town
We-
clerk will accept it?
Yeah, we prefer this,
Without it being signed?
yeah, we'd prefer that it be signed, sorry. Into my phone.
somebody's watching, you must have said something wrong, and calling you.
I'm gonna joke and say that's my mother, because it
There you
is.
go.
Because only when my phone rings, there's 5 people who can bypass Do Not Disturb, and she is one of them.
So I guess, Hannah, if you could get me.
Yeah, I can get your, yep, I can do
place where
that
they
before I
can sign
leave.
it, and
Yep.
We've got 20 days, we'll do it.
Okay, I will do that.
Once you vote, you can come in, if you're gonna sign a document, you don't have to meet as a group to sign it anyway.
All right, got it to be 3 or 1?
What?
Got to be 3 signatures or 1?
You've got a 3-person board,
Right.
right? So it only has to be 2
Two.
majority.
Yeah, for comprehensive plan.
Right.
Okay, you guys can sign. All right, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to consider this insubstantial change to the comprehensive permit, or the, whatever we're calling it. Is that what it basically is, comprehensive permit?
Yeah, it's comprehensive permit, substantial modification.
What she said.
So,
Did you indicate approve too,
No.
as part of that?
Seconded.
Second, an amendment to the motion will be that we put approved in there at the end. We vote to consider it an insubstantial change, and we approve of that. Okay? Okay with everybody?
Yep.
Yep.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Again, pardon my lateness.
How's your partner doing on, well, you got, your ex-partner has got another one of these in Franklin too, on Pleasant Street. Didn't you work partners with him, or is that
Oh, the
community
community
builders?
builders?
Is that community builders themselves? Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's Community Builders, yeah, over
They're
Pleasant.
behind you, so there'll probably be another 5 years before they get
Thank you
here.
for coming.
oh, the church?
Yeah.
I don't think I'll let them know that, though.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, time being approximately 7:30. We move fast. We move on. There they are, right there. You guys aren't up yet, but you will be, so go ahead and sit down. Well, maybe you might not. You might not be. Don't take that, David. Need that? 7:30?
I got one.
Okay.
All right, time being approximately 7:30 PM, 33 Elm Street, G. David Iverson, trustee. Applicant is seeking to construct a single-family home that has 123.92 feet of frontage where 200 feet is required, and with right side yard setback of 26.5 feet where 40 feet is required. The building permit is denied without a variance from the ZBA. We received a message
I got it
asking
here. I can read it.
us.
We received a message from the applicant's attorney asking to continue this until October or something to begin with. I think
Ninth,
October 9th.
October 9th.
I sent them an email and said that the furthest we'd go out would be September 25th, because that's our next meeting, and there's no guarantee that we'd have a meeting on the 9th. So if they're not ready on the 25th, then we'll continue them out, because by that time, we'll know when our next meeting is going to be. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to continue that until September 25th at 7:30 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to do any discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. Time being approximately 7:35.
The next item on the agenda, parcels 2, 70, 28, 38, and 39 West Central Street and Panther Way. Applicant is seeking to conduct earth removal in excess of 1,000 cubic yards. The building permit is denied without a special permit from the ZBA.
All right, we got a letter asking for continuance. I'll entertain a motion to continue them until September, what was the date, 25th? September 25th at 7:35 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Okay. Time coming almost up to 7:40.
28 Queen Street, applicant Samuel Williams. Applicant is seeking to construct a porch extension that is 22.1 feet from the yard setback where 30 feet is required. The building permit is denied without a variance from the ZBA.
Applicant present?
Yes, online.
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't see you. Okay, where did we leave off? Did you redo your plan, or did you change anything, or what's the story with that?
Nothing has changed. The primary concerns were that we had created our own hardship in sort of reviewing that. We created our own hardship by removing our side porch. I would say that we did not create a hardship by removing our side porch because the side porch was not giving us access to the front door, which is what we're trying to improve access to. So that would be my response to that. And then there was another question. It didn't really have a lot of, it didn't really matter, but there was a discrepancy in our deed, and that was clarified by our surveyor. He told me that the length of our property line on the left side, looking at it, looking straight at the house, was based on basically the deed of our abutting property that is registered land, so it overrides our deed, which is apparently not registered land. Since last week, we've gotten additional letters of support, which I'm sure you have seen. When I went back and looked through zoning board meetings for the last approximately 5 years, I found 6 instances of people pursuing front yard setback relief requests. All of them were for porches, and all of them were granted, including one at 80-something Peck Street just 2 years ago. That is almost the exact same scenario as ours.
That it?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No, I did take some time, drive by, and around, take a look. The houses in the general area pretty much are mix and match, they're close to the road,
I only saw one that's closer to the road than this one, that's close to the road.
There's a one on the corner there that does still have the wraparound porch, but I don't see an issue.
Is there a porch behind the garage going up onto the house?
There's a room back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I rode by it, it looked like some action going on out back there. I thought it looked like a porch.
I'm all set.
Janelle, any questions?
No, I'm still supportive of the project, and just want to acknowledge the additional letters that we read them.
Yeah. Question for the building commission. The porch that he took down, you took it down from the front too, then?
No, the front porch still is there. What didn't get removed to put the addition on the side.
Yeah, okay. He could take that porch off and rebuild it, right, as long as it doesn't encroach any closer than what it is now?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so and the other thing, I think that he brought up that there was a handicapped person that visits but doesn't really live there. If that's the case, I've seen these ramps that go up. You don't need permits for those, you just put them in.
a caveat to that, Mr. Chairman, is that a handicap ramp does not have to meet the setbacks if it's actually a structure that's being built for that use.
Right,
May not be the porch per se, but it is the ramp that's exempt from.
right, yeah, yeah. I don't know, I'm not convinced yet, Ben, that you couldn't do it some other way, but,
Then,
Can I ask a follow-up question? So, that's Sam.
Sam, I'm sorry.
And then
I don't know, where did I
my-
get Ben from?
My understanding was that the accessibility question was more of a being able to open and get around the front door. So a ramp wouldn't address that situation, but the deeper front porch would.
correct.
Was what I remember from the presentation last time.
Does the door open in or out?
It opens in, but
Okay.
you still need room on the porch to get in. And this exact project has been done by somebody else and approved
Which one?
on Peck Street,
Okay. And what was the
same zoning
distance?
district.
What was the distance?
They actually requested a bigger variance than ours.
Yeah, but how far did he get to the street?
He was 20 feet away, we're 22.
Okay.
His porch was 9 feet deep, ours is only gonna be 7.
Yeah, must have snuck by. You got a 7-foot porch now?
No, I have a
What's the
3 foot
stoop-
porch.
what's
I
the
would like to
stoop?
make 7 feet.
What's the stoop in front of the door now?
It's 3 feet.
3 feet? What's the standard landing area?
42 inches is the most comfortable, Mr. Chairman, for a landing.
Okay.
36 feet tight.
Yeah. Okay. Could you get away with 48 inches? What'd you say, Daniel?
I would like the full distance that I requested.
Okay, you're not willing to compromise?
No.
Okay. All right. Anybody from the audience want to say, chirp in? Okay. Yeah. Just come, you're going to have to come up to the mic, so you might as well get in position.
I'm Ann Arpin, 29 Queen Street. I'm here with my neighbors. More than half the neighborhoods are here. We fully support this. This is should be a no-brainer. It's an improvement to their home. Most importantly, it's an improvement to the accessibility to their home for their family member. And why it would not be, why picking inches and feet off of this makes no sense. We live in a non-conforming neighborhood. It's an old neighborhood, as you know. You want to, build anything where we come before you. I just want to say it should be supported.
Okay.
I'm Kelly Dow from Jenoline.
Can't hear you. You're gonna have to-
I know, sorry. Kelly Dow at Jenoline. And I drove by. It looks awesome. I don't know why it's even a question. And she basically just said what I was saying. The
There's
whole
no porch there
neighborhood.
yet, is there?
Huh?
He didn't put the porch on yet, did he?
No, but like the addition that he's putting on, like it just looks like it's going to be so pretty. And like someone discussed last week that they do Porch Fest and it would be great to have that extra space. I just don't know why it's such a hard time to give him that. It's going to look awesome.
Thank you. I'm Nancy Rappa. I live right across the street from Jen and Sam. The addition they're putting on is absolutely gorgeous. Their front, even with all of this new porch, is no closer to the road than mine, or my next-door neighbor, or the neighbor across the street. So I don't understand the problem. It's going to be a wonderful addition to their home, and we'd love to have them stay in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Sam, you moving out?
No.
Okay. See, you don't have to worry, he's not going. Just a question. All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Seconded?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Vote will come on, close the public hearing. All those in favor say yes. Or yay?
Yes.
Yay. All those opposed, none. Okay, I'll entertain a motion. I'd entertain a motion to take this under advisement. So we can move along. You don't want to vote for it, take the consequences.
Just gonna make the motion. You wanna vote?
Might not be. Oh, it was taken under consideration. We've got time. All you're gonna do is say second.
And that pushes us into the next meeting?
I prefer you voted on this now. Either say yes or no. And we can go on with our lives.
Put pressure on you. Trying to coerce you.
Excuse me?
We closed the public hearing now.
Oh,
We can't take any-
all right.
We can't take any more
I
information.
guess I wasn't quick enough.
Been a motion to take this under consideration.
I'm pausing because these applicants applied in February. And to delay a motion to approve their request for a variance feels like we are now causing a hardship on these applicants.
Listen, they're under construction. They're not gonna be done anytime soon.
We have work that's going on at our house now, and it will cause us financial hardship because we'll have to have framers come back. We won't be able to put up, we're residing the house, we won't be able to put up siding. We need a decision.
Okay. Motion's on the floor to take this under consideration. I'll second that. The vote will come on to take this under consideration. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
No.
Okay, motion failed. I'll entertain another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to grant the variance for 28 Queen Street. By 4 feet, giving him 21.1 feet relief, as shown on a drawing dated April 28, 2025, by Christopher C. Carlton, land surveyor, entitled Certified Plot Plan for 28 Queen Street, Franklin, Mass.
What'd you say for the variance? What'd you say for the variance?
So it's giving them 4 feet of relief, adding 4 feet on the porch, giving them
They need
going
a
to be
8.9 inch, or 7.9 inch.
7.9 inches of
7 foot 9 inch variance.
relief, bringing it to 22 feet 1 inch.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed say no. No. Okay. 7:45.
Hold on, can I ask a question?
Who?
Why?
Your hearing's closed, sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Need 3 votes in the affirmative
Jamie.
to approve a variance.
Can I ask a question to Jamie?
You can call Jamie tomorrow in the office. I don't even know the guy's name, so I don't know where you get the personal vendetta. Anyway, time being 7:45 approximately. To take it under consideration. Take something about it, doesn't mean it's done.
Really unprofessional.
7:45. Time being approximately 7:45, 444 East Central Street, TAG Central LLC. Applicant is seeking a building permit to construct 264-unit multifamily development. The building permit is denied without a comprehensive permit from the ZBA. Applicant's present. Yeah. Just note that Joe left. Joe's left the building.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. AJ Alavisos with Tag Central LLC. I'm joined here tonight by Carlton Quinn of Allen and Major Associates, our civil engineer, as well as Peter Alavisos of Tag Central LLC. Since the last hearing, we submitted a response letter to comments that the board presented at the previous hearing. We also submitted a response to civil peer review comments. I brought Carlton here tonight in case you'd like him to present a short overview of the civil engineering design or go into any further detail on the peer review response memo that we submitted. So I defer to you on how
Well,
you'd
we
like
got
to
a peer
proceed.
reviewer here. I might as well make him earn his money and give us his report. You know, highlights anyway, whatever.
Certainly.
His name's Joe Pensnola. He works for Hancock Engineering Associates. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We did review the prior submission, plans that were dated in July. I think the major issues that we have noted were, since the change of the layout, the fire department has not commented. The last correspondence you have from the fire department was in March. So just to complete the record, I think it's important that the fire department review and agree with the swept path analysis. We don't have any issue with the swept path analysis. We think it's appropriate, except for just making sure they don't cross the center line of East Central in accordance with the regulations as they sweep into the site. With regard to the water supply, they did hydrant flow tests proximate to the site, submitted those to DPW, and DPW has opined in a letter to the board that water supply is sufficient for the project. With regard to sewer, there is a sewer pump station across the street, a municipal sewer pump station, and whether or not that pump station can handle the additional flow is in question. So what the applicant is asking for the board to do is condition the comprehensive permit on a study being done after issuance of the comprehensive permit that would determine the capacity of that pump station and any upgrades that may be needed. They have offered an alternative solution to any issues with the pump station, and that would be the installation of a 35,000-gallon tank on site to hold the project sewer and pump it off peak. So pump it in the middle of the night. So the idea is that municipal pump stations usually run into problems during peak times, either in the morning or in the evening. So if they just let their flow into that pump station, they could overload the pump station. By pumping off peak, they can take advantage of the fact that there's low flows in the middle of the night and get that flow. It's a practice that is fairly standard. The tank on site would have alarms and safeguards with regards to that. It's a little unclear as to whether that tank would release by gravity or release by pump. We think it's probably by pump, but that would all be worked out. So there'd be a condition in the comprehensive permit that would require this study, and this is not unlike Grove Street. I think there was a similar situation there in which a similar condition was memorialized in that comprehensive permit. And then they'd work it out. And it would be probably a financial decision. How much would the municipal pump station cost to upgrade? And how much does this on-site tank? I think the DPW is fine with either solution as long as it's done and Franklin's.
On-site with not just the tank, but with pumps also, right? Pump
Yeah.
Capital nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where we are there. As you know, Beta is the civil engineering peer reviewer for the Conservation Commission, and we've deferred all stormwater to them. Beta has issued their latest review letter to the Conservation Commission dated August 21st. There are still open items in their stormwater, so they're still going to work. They still have work to do to work through that. Two items from the Beta review that should be brought to the attention of this board because it may impact the site layout, configuration, and the way the project is presented. The first is the need for a flood study. Currently, there is floodplain on site. Floodplain is mapped by FEMA, and FEMA either assigns an elevation to the floodplain or they don't. And when they don't, it means that they didn't study it enough to have an elevation, but they are concerned enough and they make estimates as far as what the elevation is. In those,
Joe, one minute. My understanding is FEMA just came out with a new flood map for Franklin, I think.
right, but this area
Too small.
still does not have an elevation
All right,
assigned.
they didn't study it.
Right. So what can be done is the engineers can do their own study and determine what that flood elevation is. Subsequent to the Beta letter, the applicant did complete a flood study, and they have now assigned elevations to the floodplain, and there will be some minor changes to the site that will come out of that. That flood study has to be reviewed, and it makes the most sense since Beta is into the stormwater for them to review it, and I'm certain that the Conservation Commission will task them to do that, because floodplain is a jurisdictional resource area of the Conservation Commission. It is called bordering land subject to flooding under the wetlands regulations. The other issue related to the Beta review is a little bit complicated. It has to do with the state of the existing site and the existing 200-foot riverfront on site. And the applicant is claiming that a good portion of the riverfront is what is defined in the regulations as prior disturbed riverfront. There's a little difference of opinion on the extent of that prior disturbed. I have had a discussion with Mr. Quinn, and it appears, and don't want to speak for them, but it appears that they are standing on their delineation of that prior disturbed, and that from this board's consideration, the project is staying as it is presented to you outside of minor tweaks that I just talked about with regards to the flood study. The last issue I think that I'll bring up to highlight is is the proximity of the building to the neighbors to the east. We had called for, or we had suggested that the board might look for a cross-section, and then we were told that the cross-section had already been produced and gone over with the board in the July meeting, and then subsequently submitted to the board in August. This cross-section shows the back building, shows the house that is the closest in the neighborhood to the east, and I guess our point was just with regards to mitigating, is the mitigation of the height of the building and the proximity of the building sufficient, or is the board going to look for additional measures that either are requested of the applicant or conditioned by the board in any final decision with regards to properly mitigating, those visual impacts. We have not produced a formal response to their response, because they have not issued any new site plans. They were waiting for the beta letter, which came in on August 21st. It's my understanding that they're now going to effect site plan changes and submit those to this board, and then at that point, we will review those and provide our final letter to the board. With
So the
regard,
flood study's been done, you said?
the flood study has been done. It was just released, I think, yesterday
By,
by the applicant.
okay.
Yeah.
And they came up with a level.
Multiple elevations, because you've got the 3 tiers, kind of, you got the, right up against East Central, then you've got a culvert, then you've got 2 culverts on site, so there's 3 areas.
Okay.
So that, as I said, will most likely be peer reviewed by Beta and verified. So I think at that point, I mean, from our standpoint, where we don't have stormwater, we're pretty close to wrapping up
The civil engineering.
the civil engineering part of it. I think if we review the site plan tweaks and we hear from the fire department. One more issue, Mr. Chairman. We had, with regards to the parking ratio, we had suggested 1.75.
Right.
They have increased the parking. They're at 1.62. They've also presented a plethora of data from the Institute of Transportation Engineers with regards to parking demand studies that would say that they only need 1.35
Yeah,
or 1.2 something.
Yeah, but they already agreed to that.
Yeah. So they're at 1.62. So I think once we review a revised site plan, we'll issue our final letter, and we should be able to wrap and assist the board in formulation of conditions if that's the direction you're going to take.
Anything you want to rebut?
No, I think Joe did a pretty good job of summarizing where we're at.
Okay. I got a couple of questions for you. Can we get a balloon test done on this cross-section?
I've had a lot of issues with balloons because of wind.
Well,
if
try
that's-
not a windy day. You got a lot of time.
I actually was involved with that exact project, and the balloon test went terribly wrong. It's just very difficult to show what it's really going to look like with the balloons. So in our experience, we found that doing a section diagram like that works out better.
Joe, did you finally get one of these?
I did, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And just, I guess I'll rebut, we have successfully done balloon tests
Yeah.
It comes down to the wind, and if you can. What it does is it just gives you.
Can't your anchor them down with three-way tie thing or something, tie them down three ways instead of just one?
Yeah, at least one, so
Yeah.
that you can go in the wind direction and right it
Yeah.
to do that. But we just did one 2 months ago on a 40B project in Westford.
Okay.
I think we can get Carlton to figure out a balloon test, so.
Maybe get this one right.
We might need Joe's help on it.
Yeah.
And just for the specifics, would you like it basically to the closest point to the east side?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's just one balloon, you think, or two?
That's the most egregious side, is the east side.
Perhaps on each corner of the building, or
Yeah,
or just
probably.
one balloon on.
Whatever
say-
the highest building, the highest and closest building is to the property owners up in Cook's Farm.
Okay.
Maybe you can give them a call and let you know when you're gonna be there. So if somebody can get some pictures of it to see what it all looks like. I mean, the cross-section's good, but I don't, it doesn't show the line all the way across. And I know the house is 19 feet to start out with, higher than where you are, but your elevation might change if the flood study comes back.
So we see no significant, there's actually no changes proposed to the south of the clubhouse because that elevation was set previously and it didn't change. There's
Is that
just
the
some
foot
minor
above the-
changes.
Is that the foot above the bridge? If the culvert gets plugged up and it goes over the bridge?
No, that's the north side. So that's up by the street. That was discussed in the beta letter. The south side, the elevation has stayed the same.
Well, the south side is where the pond is, behind it.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
but that goes into the culvert underneath the road. I don't know what it is, Cook's Farm, Apple Valley, I don't know, whatever the name of that road
North
is.
Spy Road, I
That
think.
has the bridge.
Yeah.
If that gets plugged up, the idea is that it goes up to the road, no more than a foot over, and then it just continues over the road and goes down the other side.
Correct.
So that's what you were using for.
As the basis. And that was all vetted out in the ANRAD process where the peer reviewer agreed with us on that elevation.
Okay.
And it was just to the north of that that was still in question.
Another question. You haven't made your mind up what you want to do. Who's doing the study on the sewer plant? You guys doing it or the town doing it? You fund it?
The applicant will pay for the town's consultant, Weston and Sampson, to do the pump study,
Okay.
the sewer pump study.
There was another issue that was brought to my attention today that, you know where that pump is across the street? I think they only own to the ballots. And it was the town engineer's idea that maybe you guys could donate a little piece of land across the street, like on the corner of that driveway that you go into next there, to give them some more room. There's no room to work on it. Town spent a lot of money putting a enlarged force main up to where it goes to gravity again, because it was only like a 6-inch main there, and they couldn't pump it all the time. Everybody down the line had to pump it in the middle of the night so that we'd go through. So he just mentioned that they'd be looking for a piece. You agree with that, Jamie? You probably don't know nothing about it, but I talked to Mike today. Mike said it.
Oh, the town engineer?
Yeah, yeah. He said because where the pump station is now, they don't even have room to drive up and park and work on. So they're looking to get some more space across the street. If they gotta do anything with the pump station, then they can, maybe they'd help you out with some of the costs. I don't know.
Understood. I think we have a solution that works, again, and we can.
What, pump with, a tank with pumps?
Withholding it on site and pumping it
Yeah,
off hours.
okay.
And we did have a conversation with DPW about that.
That's expensive though, isn't it?
It is expensive.
Yeah, well, they might come back with a $50,000 upgrade to the pump station.
They also mentioned that it could, or we could potentially upgrade the pump station depending on the results of the study. It wasn't stated that it would be required to be moved onto our property, so.
No, I didn't say it was required.
Okay.
He just asked if we maybe could get a piece of land over there to move it.
It's, I don't know how the floodplain affects things, but it's tight over
That-
there.
You got a whole building over there sitting there. You got a whole building between there and the brook.
The area that's in question now is gonna most likely become floodplain mitigation area.
You're gonna dig it out?
It's gonna be lowered, yeah.
Yeah. So if the people come home and they take a right-hand turn early, they'll be going into the pond. The other question that came up was that little, I know that you proposed it as not a service access, but an emergency access. It goes onto that private driveway next door. what are you doing with, I think you brought that up, Joe, didn't you?
Yeah, we were just wondering what its purpose was, because it.
Is
the
that
fire-
supposed to be a secondary access?
Its purpose is just to comply with an easement that exists between us and that property. I think it's 440 East Central. It's an access easement, so.
Access for 444, but if you're gonna dig a pond there, you won't need it anymore.
It will not affect the access. The pond will be north of that, it'll just be north of that access. It won't be,
But that access doesn't really provide any help for anybody. I don't think it's big enough to turn a fire truck down.
It's just required to comply with that easement. That's the only reason that
But
we
you're
have it
going out
there.
onto somebody else's property.
No,
We're not.
it's for their access over our property to get to Central Street. That's what the easement says. Yes.
So you only got one single access. Didn't that come up somewhere too, Joe? You need two accesses on anything more than 100 units?
That's a recommendation of the NFPA, but it's not something that the fire department has brought up.
Okay. All right, I'll go through the board quick. Any questions, Archie?
So how do you, or how does the town regulate you pumping at night?
Timers.
Timing on what?
On their lift, on their station, they have a station, 32,000 gallons?
35,000.
35,000 gallons. It's got maybe one or two pumps in it that might have an alternating system. And when it gets to a certain time at night, when everything else is slow or closed, then they pump in across the street to that pump station. That pump station pumps it up towards their other piece of property on 140.
yeah, and it pumps it at a steady flow rather than the peaks and valleys of standard gravity sewer flow, so it's much easier for the system to handle.
And who monitors that?
DPW, sewer department.
It's a pretty standard practice for
Yeah.
projects this site.
We've got a bunch of them in town now.
I think Grove
When
Street.
we approved Grove Street, they have, I don't know if they're going into the sewer station, the lift station, or they're gonna put a tank on too, but they got the same situation. They're doing a study on that tank also.
There was also one done on Dean Ave too.
Yeah, probably at that apartment complex down there, could be, yeah.
There was one installed at Dina. We coordinated with the DPW and confirmed that's the spec they used, so we could make sure
Cook's
we.
Farm actually dumps into a lift station, but I think that has a holding tank in it that might pump off peak hours also.
Yeah, and we did discuss this with the DPW and the engineer, and they were completely on board with the idea and the design, and if they had some conditions they'd like to put around it, we're obviously happy to accept their conditions around the design of it.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
There was some mention of prior disturbed riverfront and the applicant saying that it was disturbed and you saying that you didn't think it was. Where do we stand with that? How does that get rectified? Who makes that determination?
It's not our opinion, it's Beta's opinion, who's the engineer for the Conservation Commission, and it's squarely in the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So it's the Wetlands Protection Act, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, and the regulations, which this board doesn't have jurisdiction over. So it's in the hands of the Conservation Commission. If the applicant is saying they're not changing, they're disagreeing with Beta's assertion of the extent of prior disturbed riverfront, from the standpoint of this board, the plan's not changing, and they're asking you to move forward with your review of the plan as done. If the Conservation Commission sees it differently and they don't change the plan and denies the project, then that appeal process goes in a totally different direction. If what comes out of that appeal process is a different plan, they'll have to bring the plan back to this board. So.
Where do we stand with the Conservation Commission? Do we know?
I got the reports back from their peer reviewers, but they didn't get it back until 2 hours before the last meeting, so these guys didn't have a chance to answer. You know, I mean, every time they give you a review, they have an answer for it. You know, they got the best people, wetlands people, and the engineering firm, and the traffic study people, for that matter, working on the project. So when I asked Joe about that, he said there's almost no he didn't really see anything other than maybe this riverbed thing that would halt the project
Yeah, and it's,
through engineering.
it's gotta be worked out, but they have a right to ask this board to proceed with the plan as presented, and you can finish there's no need or requirement for you to wait for the Conservation Commission or anything. You proceed with your process, issue a comprehensive permit, and if they have to go to appeal with DEP on that issue, then it takes whatever time it takes and however the resolution comes out. And if there are major changes, then they bring them back to you as, for determination of substantial or insubstantial.
Well, if they had to raise the whole place 5 or 6 feet, is that what they're planning to do now?
No.
I thought I read something where they had to bring in 5 to 6 feet of material to cover the whole site.
Yeah, there is significant fill on this site.
Yeah.
And we had just asked for quantities, and their answer was that will happen when a contractor gets on board and they understand how that will be affected, so.
Okay, now, any further questions?
Janelle, any questions?
Yes, so do you have a sense of where the tank would be if we had to pump sewage off the site?
It can actually be anywhere, because I'm expecting the flows out of it to be pumped, so the actual location can be adjusted almost anywhere on the site. It'll probably be closer to the street, as that's the shortest distance you'd have to pump. But right now, I'm expecting it probably not to be in the location shown on the plans, based on some of the revisions we're making, to probably put closer to the drive aisle, maybe in the clubhouse area. We've got a lot of utilities to deal with in that area, but based on the last revision from Beta, it's probably going to move from where it is currently.
Okay. I hear that it's standard practice for a project of this size, but what about for a site that has the amount of water that we have on it?
You mean groundwater?
Yeah.
Well, they would have to be designed to resist buoyancy. Is that, I mean, yeah, so that would be part of the design.
It'd be a pretty complicated pump tank.
Not particularly. They can put ballast on it to make sure that it doesn't pop out of the ground. They have, anytime you do any kind of a sewerage tank, it has to be watertight. So they have to do watertight testing before they put it into service. You can go one step further and have gasketed, bolted covers, so that even if floodwaters got above the tank, they wouldn't get in through the manhole covers. So there are instances in where these type of facilities are put in close proximity to floodplains and wetlands, and precautions are there.
Will it require like regular inspections?
It's a system. It's going to have regular inspections. It'll have to have a high-level alarms. It could have what's known as a skater system, so that there's connectivity. You can actually see when the pumps are actuated. That's something the DPW may want to understand and have data on, that they are in fact pumping at night and they're not, the pumps aren't malfunctioning and pumping during the day. So all those details will get worked out through this study, through the subsequent development of plans, either for this system or the upgrade to the municipal pump station. And I'm sure at that point, whatever is designed, because it impacts the municipal sewer system, the sewer department, the DPW, is going to want Weston and Sampson, their engineer, to look at those details and make sure. And Weston and Sampson is is very well acquainted with municipal systems and all of those kind of safeguards and assurances that need to go into, you know, any system that is a municipal system.
And just if I could, one other quick thing is, we did get a proposal from Weston and Sampson to do the study, and we did agree to fund it to the DPW verbally. We didn't get any conditions of it yet.
Thank you. So no concerns with proximity to the wetlands. What about any concerns with proximity to the well that's adjacent to the site?
With the sewer lift station, their tank? No, I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, it's got to be a sealed system, a controlled system with high-level alarms that and the high-level alarms doesn't mean that it's overflowing. It means that it got up to a high level and there's still some more capacity. But the alarm will be connected via a communication system to send a message to probably a service provider, and they'll know they've got a dispatch 24/7 to that site because they've got a high-level alarm.
Yeah, these systems for sites like this are managed by third-party specialists who just do wastewater treatment plants and septics, and they'll be wired into it, and they'll probably come and service it once a month, or, you know, whatever the system requires based on the usage.
Now, these lift stations usually have alternating pumps in them, don't they?
Typically, this is a redundant pump system.
Yeah, well, you know, when one gets high, the other one kicks in. Or they go back and forth until, once it starts to overload, then they'll just both kick in and pump out the stuff.
No, and you're also going to want backup power. So
They
power-
generally have a generator or their size for like 2 days worth of,
But you got
you have
gas,
to double the size.
you got gas there.
No gas on the site.
No gas on the site, you got it in the street. Can't hook a generator to gas, you gotta power that by electricity too?
It'll probably be diesel.
So if the study would be looking at this on-site tank or an upgrade to the municipal station?
No, the study would be looking at the municipal station.
Okay.
And its capacity to take the flow without doing this off-peak pumping.
Okay.
So then, Weston and Sampson then defines, okay, to take your flow, you're gonna have to do X, Y, and Z. You're gonna have to put new pumps in there, you're gonna have to increase the size of the wet well, you're gonna have to put in a new generator, whatever they come up with, they'll define that. Then the applicant will look at it, they'll make a financial decision based on how much that will cost. And if that's too much money, or more money than the on-site tank, they'll go to the on-site tank. The on-site tank will be designed by their team and then presented to the town as part of a condition of the comprehensive permit that will allow this board to then engage additional peer review services to make sure that that's all right. And what I'm suggesting is, at that point, because of the interconnectivity to the pump station and the need for that this board engage at the applicant's expense, Weston and Sampson, to look at that design. But I don't think this board can make Weston and Sampson design it, because all you can do is engage engineers to do peer review.
Could we have a restriction on the comprehensive permit that, let's say the cost to upgrade the municipal station is a certain percentage within the financial cost of the tank, that we would prefer as a town that the applicant invest in the infrastructure if it's close?
Yeah, I mean, that's something you can
That's something the
certainly
town's gonna have
discuss
to
with the
decide,
applicant.
Because they might not even want them pumping directly into the pump. You know, they might not want them pumping directly into the line, because then they gotta pump it into that wet well. There's no room there to expand the wet well, I'm pretty sure. They don't have any room there, so I don't know how they'd expand the wet well. So if they're gonna pump in there, then they could have troubles with that. You know, it's gonna fill up the well that much quicker. So that would, obviously, if they're gonna be pumping however much affluent in there, they're gonna need, they probably have to upgrade the pumps.
That's certainly a good question and something to pose to the DPW.
And if I may, Ms. Lang, we've been in close coordination with DPW on this matter for the past few months, and on the Grove Street decision, as Mr. Pesnola mentioned, there was a very similar, almost exact condition that we would look to basically copy and paste for our project. Very similar scenario for that project.
All right, thank you. On the water supply, Joe, you mentioned that DPW confirmed that it's adequate.
Yeah,
This is domestic water or fire pump?
both.
Both. And we have that, we have a letter?
We got the results of the tests and everything else.
Okay, because I didn't see that posted.
Sorry to interrupt. The letter, my response to Hancock had it as an attachment. I had the letter from the DPW and the results from the testing we did. So it should have been an attachment to that.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It's in the back.
And this one. Okay. From the 21st.
Yeah.
All right. Mention of the parking. You mentioned that the 1.35 is what we're seeing?
No, 1.62 is what they're now providing.
Right.
The 1.35 is what they provided as the Institute for Transportation Engineers recommended parking demand based on
Okay.
this type of project. So we classically see anything from 1.25 to 1.75. 1.25 is tight, and you've got to kind of consider the neighborhood, the surroundings, whether people can walk to services or whether they need to get in their car and drive. There is a little bit of the fact that the applicant needs to rent the units. And people understand if there's a parking problem, they're not gonna wanna rent. And there are actually some cities and towns that want to restrict the number of parking spaces to purposely try to get people to move there that don't have two cars, to reduce traffic. But we find in the suburban market that 1.5 to 1.75 seems to be the sweet spot. You also need to look at the bedroom count. So sometimes you look at the number of parking spaces per bedroom. And usually a 1.0 parking space per bedroom is a good mark. And I think if they did that calculation, it'd probably be right around 1, because they've got a pretty even mix of ones and twos.
Okay, with their current parking.
With their 1.62. Right, and it's important to note that the board's traffic engineer, Howard Stein Hudson, agreed with the 1.35, and it was only commentary from the board and during the public hearings, and our personal experience where we thought that the prior parking ratio was low. So that's why they reacted to that by upping it to the 1.62.
Okay, I bring it up again because the move from 1.35 to 1.62 is what prompted the adjustment on the site that kicked the height up of the buildings. And I also mention it because we have an ongoing concern with traffic in that area. So perhaps it would be desirable to attract people with less vehicles that are okay with walking to the grocery store next door. That's all I'm saying. I don't think the 1.62 should be a hard line as we're we have this analysis ongoing and discussions ongoing. If the applicant is, and was initially okay with a lower amount.
All the applicants are fine with a lower amount. Anytime we get a 40B, they're always happy with a lower amount. That's why they come in. But they agreed to go to 1.65%. And I know what it did. It changed, instead of being 5 buildings, 4 buildings, but to a story.
Yeah.
So that they opened up some land area.
Okay, so then I would just say to that point, and since we're showing on the cross-section, the 3-story height, we're doing a balloon test, can we do it at the 4 and the 3?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I know
What are we gonna do it at, the flat roof height or the peak roof height?
Just what I was thinking.
Well, the previous proposal was 3-story sloped roof, so would you like it on the previous proposal?
Well, yeah, if you wanna take a floor off of that building, sure. 3 stories. You only lose a few units.
I think what we're getting at is the difference isn't gonna be much if that's what we're doing.
Right.
And then lastly, I wanted to ask, I know we're not reviewing waivers yet because as the design evolves, the list of waivers could change, but I'm trying to scroll through to see if there's any civil-related waivers in the initial
Joe, did they have any
application. Just to see
civil
if-
engineering-related waivers
See if there's
requested?
anything we should talk through.
No, I think it's best for them to, because the plans are in flux, what's normally the process is when the applicant gets to a point where they're comfortable that the plan's not gonna change anymore and we're getting deeper into the finer points and starting to talk about conditions, starting to talk about waivers, is for them to submit an updated waiver list that reflects any changes. We did comment on some of the waivers, and they actually came back and said they may not need some. So there definitely is going to be a revision to the waiver list.
Thank you, that's all I had.
Okay. We're on somewhat of a clock, depending on what day we had the first public hearing.
Right.
Could be in October, could be in November.
Right.
You willing to give us an extension until the end of November?
Yes, sir.
Okay. December if we need it.
Well,
We won't be done with Concom by then anyway, so hopefully.
I'm hoping we'll be done by November, but we'll see.
Okay, so you agree to an extension at least till the end of November?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Can you give that in writing?
Yes, sir, I can. It'll likely come from Peter Freeman.
That's fine,
through
yeah.
him.
Is he on the call tonight?
Yeah, he's on.
Okay, is Mark on the call tonight? Okay, good. No? Yeah, he's here. He's up in Maine somewhere, hunting bear or something, I don't know. All right, seems how we've gone through the board, it's time for the fun time now, to let the applicants, abutters all come up and have their say. Gene? Yeah, did I wake you up, Gene?
No, you didn't wake me up.
Everybody remember the criteria, 3 minutes, question, answers, and comments.
My first question has to do with the storage tank. So the storage tank, from my understanding, is usually not allowed in Zone 2 near a public well, especially if it's going to hold over 10,000 gallons. Can you speak to that, please?
I'd have to look into the zoning. I don't remember that.
And that's a state regulation.
That would be under 310 CMR 22, the drinking water regulations. So we'd have to look at the location of the tank and the location of the Zone 2 and review that. That's certainly something we can do.
Okay, and then the second question is, I think it's more to the board. we keep talking about the DPW and what the DPW says. Why don't we have someone from the DPW here to speak for the DPW, so that way we know exactly the way they feel about certain things?
They speak in English, on paper, they don't, I mean, unless Jamie wants to have.
It's just, it's hearsay. We hear about what they're saying.
Absolutely happy to ask
he's the
DPW
town
director or
engineer.
the town engineer to come to a meeting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next? Anyone else?
John Johnson Jr. I live on 23 Northern Spy Road in Franklin. I live in the neighborhood abutting the property. I think the important thing to point out is the affordable housing mandates, Chapter 40B. If the town has less than 10% affordable housing, a developer can override the local zoning through a comprehensive permit. But this isn't the case. Franklin has more than 10% affordable housing. Therefore, the zoning board has a great deal of power, not necessarily to shut down this project, but suddenly we're talking about a 4-story building that we're putting out in 260 apartments. That doesn't really fit the character of our neighborhood. And so I think it's important to take these things into account, just realizing, what are we doing to Franklin? How are we serving for the character of Franklin, and what we have a vision of it as in the future? That's it. Thank you.
Unfortunately, the applicant has the right. The applicant has the right to apply for this. We didn't seek him out. He just came in. He's got a relationship with the landowner over the last 30 years or more. And the landowner, I guess, wanted to retire and sell his land. And it's zoned commercial. Just keep that in mind. You could have had a shopping center in there or whatever.
Right.
The reason why they're proposing houses in there, or housing, or 40B, is because the land wasn't for sale for a long time, but the land is kind of useless because it's got a lot of wetlands on it. Like I tell everybody, it's the most environmentally sensitive area that we've ever had to deal with. Not only does it have Zone 2 for the well, it has that pond in the back there, I don't know, Cook's Pond, or whatever they call it, Padoncas Brook, I guess. It's got a stream that runs across the street onto 140, right down the middle of it, that I guess is considered a river now. So I'm not sure what it's considered, whether it's a stream or a river or whatever, but they have to take into consideration that. And my question's always been, if the river has 100 foot on either side, that takes away a lot of land. If the river's 100 feet, and then you got something, then you got 300 feet that you got to stay away from. But I've asked the question, from our peer review, and he says, well, you can always work around things, and they have the best wetland scientists that you can get in Massachusetts to review this stuff and fight it out with DEP. And Allen and Majors is doing the engineering, so, they know what they're doing also. So, I mean, it's just it just goes through the process. We haven't given them anything. Everybody talked about waivers. Janelle asked about waivers. They ask for a lot of waivers. Most of the time, it doesn't come down to that many when it comes through, but they always ask for everything that the Concom is set up, like they call it the local regulations. They can ask for those waivers, because when this thing, if something happened and we turned them down, or we gave them, or if we didn't relieve them of those, they would go to the housing court, and the housing court would say, those regulations are too strict, and it's going to cost the project too much money, so we let them waive it. That's how it works. That's how it's worked ever since I've been doing this. We haven't had any we had one that was turned down. They appealed it, but they didn't go forward with it. I thought it was because of the time, it was around 2008, and I thought it was because we were on hard times. There wasn't a lot of building going on there. Turned out that the agreement that they had ran out with the landowner, and he didn't like them, so he threw them out, and that was the end of it. But they could have appealed that. That would have been done a long time ago, too. And the other reason why this is set up is because this came under the friendly 40B process that was set up by the town administrator, not us. Set up by the town. Went through the Concom. I'm only going through this because I haven't seen you here before, so I just want to make sure you get all the information. Went through the Concom for a 30-day non-binding review. Was unanimous vote to approve. Went the same thing with the planning board. Unanimous vote to approve. The only difference was it went to the council to get accepted into the LIP program. Now, the council did put it into the LIP program by a vote of 5-4. And I know there's some members here that voted for it, and there's at least one member here that didn't vote for it, so they got something to say after, I guess. But You know, with all the stuff that's going on, everybody changes their mind down the road. You gotta remember, they were before those other boards a year ago, you know, over a year ago. And that's how they ended up here. You know, they got a certain expectation when the council let them into the LIP program. They went into the LIP program, local initiative program, and they present their plans. They draw their plans up. They didn't have these elaborate plans when we started. They do that after they get accepted into the program. There's a certain expectation, I think, that they have that when they get accepted into the LIP program, that they're gonna be able to go on with the project. Knowing full well that if they don't, and we turn them down, or give them something that they don't like, or approve something that they don't like, they're just gonna appeal it to housing court. And I don't know that there's been many that have been, you know, held the decision of the board or the town.
I think the plans have changed, you know, it was approved with
Yeah, I know.
three.
We went through that
story
already.
and-
The 3
yeah.
minutes is up.
That's-
Thank you. Sure.
Susan Rappa, 40 Red Gate Lane. I had submitted a letter back on August 12th to the ZBA, as well as the town council, Jamie and Amy Love. I just thought I'd read that letter tonight. I'm unsure if you guys had received it. I didn't hear anything from anyone, so it's a short letter. Hello, ZBA members. Thank you for your time and consideration that you are putting into the careful review of the 444 East Central Street project. I, as well as other Franklin residents, have spoken many times about this project and the opposition to it for the multiple reasons that have been mentioned over the past year. I would like to note for the record, town residents have done extensive research on all aspects and the waivers attached to this project. Waivers have doubled since the beginning, and if approved, it would have a negative impact on our town. Residents had all stated this is not a project we supported. The developer has made no effort to work with the abutters, as he had stated in this room in the beginning of the process. He has actually made the buildings higher and closer to property lines, which is not in character with the single-family homes that are abutting this project. Last week, members of the town council who supported this project stated this is not the project before you tonight that they had supported. Also, a member of the planning board who had supported the project stated this is not the project they supported. As we can see, we even have more elected officials here tonight who will speak or are here to hopefully support us. I respectfully request that you hear all of us, both the residents and the town officials who are elected. And some of them were involved in supporting the project in the beginning, which is no longer that same project. Putting a 4-story building in right up against single-family homes does not stay in character with the existing single-family homes that have been there. As we heard earlier tonight, you know, 4 feet for the deck. That's, you know, because it wasn't the same as the other in the area. Well, a 4-story building is not even close to my single-family home, size-wise. Over the years, projects have been approved and denied by the ZBA based on maintaining the similar character of the surrounding area. And this project should not be an exception. The developer's scale and proximity are out of character. In addition, it also raises the many other serious concerns that we've been discussing with you over the past year. Please carefully consider the consequences of this large-scale project on Franklin. It is just too large for that small area. I appreciate it here in the peer review, and one of the things that was mentioned was they're concerned about the 4 stories on top of our single-family homes. No one had mentioned any questions tonight, so thank you for your time. You should really consider keeping it much smaller.
Excuse me. Good evening, board members, and Mr. Chairman, thank you for providing us an opportunity for public commentary. My name is Sarah Cronin. I live at 46 Northern Spy Road in the neighborhood of Franklin, but not in a butter. I'm going to skip over things that other speakers have already said about pardon me?
Thank you.
Oh, about the character of the town, and the traffic and the building. I do want to point out that the mitigation strategies that TAG LLC has agreed to provide are, in my opinion, quite weak. Biking in the snow 6 months out of the year. Their snow plowing plan on the town website only accounts for 2 inches of snow at one time to be plowed, and clearly they don't know New England or Franklin. $15,000 to adjust the traffic light at Walgreens. That's helpful, but it's not meaningful mitigation. People have
Just so
talked.
you know.
No, I want my 3 minutes.
I'll give you 3 minutes.
Okay.
believe me. The project across the street, they put in 15,000. The other project down there put in 10,000. So there's $25,000 for somebody to study. The question had become, and I talked to the town engineer today, is the state going to let us synchronize?
I know,
these
I
two
was
lights
here
with
at that
the other?
meeting. I know about the state. I know it's a state road. We basically can't do anything in my lifetime.
Right.
And I'm probably one of the younger ones in the room. Okay, do I get another minute then? We talked about the environmental concerns, and you just, Mr. Chairman, spoke about, the family having a long relationship, and they have the right to sell their land and retire. The current landowner, and I don't know them personally, so I don't want to cast aspersions, but they have prior disturbed the land, dumping waste, trash, and equipment on this land, including the stream. There's been no enforcement or cleanup that I've heard about, and now the town is considering approving a project so that the developer can restore what was illegally damaged. I would think that the homeowner would be fined or held accountable before a sale goes through. We talked about affordable housing. I would think we would want to put in low-rent senior housing, condos, or rent-to-own units, not another luxury apartment building. I'm trying to figure out whose goals we're trying to support here. I've been attending meetings, going through the website, digging through the site plans. We could have used Safe Harbor earlier, but we didn't. You, ZBA members, have the final authority. I attended the town council meeting. I really see you, and I appreciate that you came tonight. That is very validating for me to know that I'm being represented by you. So, you're appointed, I understand. Why are we representing an outside developer's business plan? Why give them more sway than the people of Franklin just because they have an expectation? Hundreds of residents have signed petitions opposing this project and the overbuilding in general in Franklin. The town has spoken. Please, let us know that you hear us, like the town council members who are here tonight. I made the same request to them. We need, this is my closing, we need a smaller scale, community-centered solution for the property at 444 East Central. Not one that overwhelms the infrastructure, ignores bylaws, and compromises the character of our neighborhoods and our town. I respectfully ask you, deny this proposal tonight as written. Full stop, deny it. Let TAG LLC come back with a proposal that supports a better path forward for the property at 444. Or if 264 apartments is their full stop and they won't just lop off the top floor to make the building lower, maybe they can just find another town to build their 264. And let another town, let's just put this to bed once and for all. And please, don't extend it to the end of November. There's an election coming, and I want to educate myself on whose interests align with mine, because those are the people that I will be voting for, and I want to be able to get my life back. Thank you.
See, here's Mark next to, who's next to Glenn? Yeah, he's up a couple of things.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Tom Mercer, 14 Mercer Lane, and I'm here tonight as a town councilor. The council, we've had many discussions about this project from day one, and we felt it was important to get some of our concerns and views as we sit here today on record. And with your permission, I'd like to read a letter from the council to put into your records.
You got 2 minutes left, Tommy, go ahead.
Okay. We're writing to share our concerns with the revised plan requested by the Zoning Board of Appeals on the development project being proposed at 444 East Central Street in Franklin. We hope the ZBA will take into consideration our comments and adjust the project accordingly in line with the original proposal the Town Council narrowly approved during the local initiative program process. The updated plan that the ZBA is currently analyzing at its public hearings eliminates almost all of the concessions and improvements that the developer made to the 3 town boards during the preliminary process under the town's friendly 40B policy. By increasing the parking requirement to 1.67 spaces per unit, or a total of 108 additional parking spaces, the shift from 3-story to 4-story buildings with the tallest structures facing residential properties are particularly concerning. These issues were addressed in the original plans that were submitted, which were designed to address many abutter concerns, while also including commitments to increase buffers for abutters, increasing wetlands replication, and improving environmental sustainability. By encouraging a project that is less consistent with the master plan goals, it is clear that the revised project is a significant change from the proposed project presented to our boards. We find this unacceptable and request the ZBA reduce the project to accommodate a reasonable parking requirement and ensure that all of the concessions that were made in the previous review are upheld. We sincerely respect and understand the ZBA's independent authority on the matter. However, we feel these changes are out of line with the original intent, making the project even more challenging. We hope the ZBA will take into consideration our comments and adjust the project accordingly back to the original plan. It has been made very clear that many residents feel as if the project is shifting away from the design and plans that were proposed as part of the Friendly 40B, and it was signed by all 9 councilors.
Tommy, I was willing to give you a little bit more time, seems how you were falling on the sword over there, you know? Go ahead.
Thanks.
Thank you. Steve Malloy, Russet Hill Road. Nice to hear the town council's opinion on this has been modified. But I'd remind everybody who was part of the discussions at the time that a good many of us did not approve even the original concept because it was still 264 units, maybe 3 heights, maybe 4, whatever it was. That's still way too big for that site. We've heard it over and over again. This isn't going away. There's a lot of residents feeling really angry about this. That proposed project, 3-story or 4-story, 264 units, way too big. Considering everything else that's been built, especially on East Central Street, is way too big. People hate it, and they don't want it. Thank you.
Becomes the only voice in the room.
Mark Minichelli, 31 Longfellow Drive in Franklin. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me speak tonight. I think you all received a letter signed by Gino Carlucci, who sent that recently. I'm just going to highlight a few of those facts, but first I'd like to say that I fully support the position of the town council. The opportunity to correct the height of the original project back down to 3 stories by reducing the excessive parking requirements, I think is a great way to start to appease some of the abutters and bring this project back into line with what some of the early supporters felt it was. The fact is that Franklin and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts are both in dire need of additional housing. one of the reasons why I and the housing group in Franklin support this project is to see these affordable units brought forth. We basically need more and more of these. We heard about the Franklin Ridge project earlier tonight. That's a perfect project. We'd love to see more of those as well. Franklin's subsidized housing inventory number is above the state required 10%, but the reality is that we don't have 10% of affordable units in this town. The real number, when you take out the apartments that are lumped in on projects like this, the real number is around 7% or maybe even less. So we think the parking may be excessive. If we can reduce the number of stories from 4 down to 3, it will make it more in line with the environment here in Franklin. And I hope you take that into consideration to allow the developer to get away with less parking spaces than what he's already agreed to. Thank you.
Okay. I'll ask him right now. You willing to take the buildings down with some less parking? Number of units?
No, I'm not willing to reduce the number of units. I can't. So.
I asked the question. What about reducing the height of the buildings?
We can certainly look into potentially proposing a little less parking than 1.62.
Go back to 3-story buildings?
And we could consider looking into that, certainly. However,
I'm not sure that's going to appease everybody, but I'm throwing it out there.
we're happy to look into it. I mean, as we already showed a plan that featured those components, but we're happy to look into it further. Maybe we could make a plan that has a little bit more parking than the original proposal that kind of satisfies both comments from a height standpoint and a parking standpoint. However, I've been on the record saying we do believe this current plan, as revised, the 4-story plan, is better than the 3-story plan that we originally proposed because the flat roofs make the height the same as the previous proposed. Because it's a more efficient site plan, we were able to increase the setback by 12 feet. We were also able to increase the area we could use for buffer area, so we increased the new buffer area that we were proposing, and we were also able to save existing tree buffer, a substantial amount that we wouldn't otherwise be able to save in the original plan. So like I said before, I think this current plan that's in front of you accomplishes all those concerns. However, we're happy to look into another concept, so we'll do that.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Glenn, you want to say anything? Thought I saw Glenn's hand.
I'm Kelly Dow from Jenna Lane, and I was at the last meeting, and maybe you already answered these questions, but as for the traffic, we were discussing the infrastructure that Franklin's going to need once this apartment is done, and we could apply for grants, right? But we're not guaranteed the grants. So once
I'm not the grant department, I have no idea about.
No, I know, but so then who's stuck with the infrastructure? Like the residents, but we've already voted down to override. So how are we paying for this infrastructure? Because I don't know if the people that do the travel assessment are from Franklin or drive around Franklin, but have you driven down 140 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Right? King Street to Rentham.
Every day at 3 o'clock.
I know, King Street to Rentham King Street is backed up all the way to Rentham. So if you've got 400 more parking spots, what are you doing with that traffic?
Hopefully they're going to be parked in the parking lot, and they're not going to be on the street.
Yeah, hopefully, but that's probably not happening. And then my other question, so who's stuck paying with the infrastructure, right? Is it us? Is it the state? Do we get the grants? Are they just going to pick up their stakes and leave once they're done, and then we're stuck trying to rebuild the road?
This is a state highway out here, so anything that's done out here is going to have to be done by the state.
All right, but we have to apply for the grants.
I don't know the grant, but they don't like to give grant money to themselves.
Yeah.
So it'd have to
Okay.
be approved by somebody. Jamie may be able to give you an answer.
All right, so go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay. Do you want me to address the grants? I'm not exactly sure what part of this you're speaking to about the infrastructure.
I'm not sure
But,
either. I mean,
but,
we
but
got
grants.
plenty of infrastructure, water, sewer, all that stuff. The only thing she's talking
Well,
about.
Well, I think that's
yeah, just the
actually,
traffic
through you,
in the
Mr. Chairman, I
streets.
think that's called mitigation.
Yeah.
So the ZBA should be making a decision on the mitigation of the project, and the developer should be paying for that mitigation, just like every other decision that the ZBA's made, right?
Right.
So that's, I don't want to confuse people, and I'm going to be very clear. Grants are not going to be a way to solve any of the issues that are
Right.
revolving around this decision. Okay,
Right.
sure. You know, we can apply for a complete streets grant and maybe get $50,000 or $100,000 to do a small sidewalk piece. I mean, we do those grants throughout all the town, throughout, you know, all year. We, as a DPW and as a community, we bring in millions of dollars in state and federal grants, you know, every single year. But on this project, to be clear with the residents, just like you would go to the planning board, just like you would go to Conservation Commission, just like we would go to ZBA, when you go before a project, there is obviously impacts from any development. And the ZBA has within its control an ability to make sure that mitigation from that, from any development, but this one in particular, obviously, because we're talking about that one. Am I wrong on that? Wouldn't the
No,
ZBA issue
you're not
mitigate,
wrong,
wouldn't
but, you know,
wouldn't, in any
gotta
final
remember
decision, I think the ZBA would issue a
The ZBA
mitigation.
doesn't negotiate the mitigation.
Right, but you know the mitigation from the peer review and the studies the proponent has done, and you know from the project application what exactly issues have arisen, whether it's sewer, whether it's sidewalks, whether it's road work, whether it's.
Plenty of sewer capacity.
whether-
They're
whether-
just talking about,
Yeah.
we got plenty of sewer capacity, they're just talking about
Right.
upgrading the pumps. If they're gonna do that, or put a pump station in.
Right.
We got plenty of water, they don't have to do anything with the water. People may not think so, but Gino Colucci's letter here spelled it out, said, you know, what we used to use 10 years ago, what we're
Sure.
using now is less. So, and we got more homes.
But if there was traffic impacts, the
Right.
ZBA can issue a
The only
mitigation.
thing we can do is get
Right.
money to synchronize the lights.
Well, that might be true, but I'm just saying
Yeah,
that
but-
that's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Synchronizing
at
the
the-
lights might work for the traffic we have now, but not if we have 400 more parking
Can
spots.
I answer, please? So at the last meeting, I brought this up, this specific exact same issue, and I had asked the applicant to consider more than just funding a study, that perhaps there is some type of allowance or match that could go towards making improvements that would come out of the study as one of a proposed mitigation measures.
Okay.
Right, so like if we have to widen the roads, are they willing to escrow the millions of dollars it's going to cost the town to do it?
I'm not sure that the town could do it anyway.
The town would not be able to do that because we don't own the road.
Yes.
However, Janelle, I believe if you're talking about like a matching system, like if the proponent put in $50,000 for some X mitigation, would that be able to be matched by a state grant?
Right.
It's plausible. I don't know every grant that would be available, but I would not count on a matching grant, and I would not count on any grant to fund any mitigation from the impacts of this project.
Exactly.
What would be par for the course is that if there's a mitigation if there's an impact that's decided by the peer review and the consultants, and the ZBA says, okay, there's this impact here, what's more proper and more confirming for everybody is if that mitigation goes into the final decision where the proponent is paying for that. We cannot take a pie-in-the-sky approach, just hoping that maybe there's a grant out there that we can get. To this person's point, you know, first of all, grants are going to dry up in state government due to their own budget issues. So we are going to see lessening of grants at the state level anyways. And so I'm just being honest, I wouldn't count on any grants it's a great idea, it's certainly creative and innovative, but I wouldn't count on any grants funding any of the mitigation for this project.
Now, what's the mitigation you propose so far, giving the town an acre and a half of swampland? And you know, looking into upgrading the sewer plant, because it benefits you, or putting in your tank. So I mean, what else we got for mitigation that you can do?
There's a number of mitigation items that I think we've already agreed to. I don't have a list on the top of my
have
head.
them either.
But for example, with traffic, 15,000 for the signal and phasing. We're building 150 feet of new sidewalk. There's a couple other things in traffic that I don't have in front of me. But when we get to the point of looking at a decision similar to any 40B project, I'm sure there'll be a condition that addresses mitigation, and we'll look into that and address the impacts that we're causing as a result of our project. So
Well, you're causing all these people to have to come up here once a month and stay for a couple hours anyway, but not that
So
I'm
I still had another question, even though 150 feet of sidewalk is not going to help the traffic. And then my concern was the schools, because Janelle, you had a great question. You were like, you were concerned about having all the kids in the apartments in the schools, but you asked the school committee about 50 children being added to our schools. But if there's 260 apartments, do we really think there's only going to be 50 children added to the schools? We've got 2-bedroom apartments.
There is a calculation that the applicant provided based on the breakdown of the types of units. There's a lot of one-bedroom, so that
Right.
is a standard practice calculation that was done. So that was my rough number based on what had been.
But even if you had 100
provided in the
2-bedroom apartments, you could have at least 100 children, if not 200.
No.
You know
Peter
what,
Freeman.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Our decision is not going to be based on your math, so that was just something that I know we looked at and
Mhm.
wanted the school committee to
Right.
see what their opinion is.
Right.
And so
I just
that's-
don't think 50 is a reasonable
And I think the school
guess
committee said that
of-
they didn't have any problem with it.
They did not.
They don't have a
concerns
problem with
about this
50.
project.
I
They
think
did
the
not
odds
have
of
concerns
only
with
having
this
50 children there are very slim.
I think we have Peter Freeman, counsel on. He can speak to school costs and whether, as it relates
We
to
already
40B.
know that we can't put it in
Okay.
the decision. You know, I mean, it's not a secret. We've talked about this before.
Okay.
Because Janelle asked me about it before, that's why I let it go ahead and talk, because she went ahead and talked to the school committee. The school committee evidently isn't worried about any kids coming from this project, that it's gonna flood the school system. That's what they told her. Right?
Does it? I just don't think it's only going to be 50 kids.
Peter,
Right.
we're okay. We're okay, thank you.
Don't go back to sleep.
Hi, Steve Huston, 10 Wampanoag Drive. We've been having some water quality issues up on, we're up in back of Jordan Road
Yeah.
there. So my wife called the DPW and they said they know that there are some problems, but it's not quite bad enough to require a big expensive fix or replacement or something. I'd be concerned that this project being drawn maybe from the same well.
The water comes from all the wells. The water from this area of town doesn't come right from that well. That well pumps into the system and goes where it tanks up on Hillside Road. They got a tank. We got tanks all over the place. You know, they built some tanks up on Washington Street. They couldn't fill them because they were too high. You know, but they fixed that over time. They put a bigger water main in or something to get the water so that they could have the pressure to fill the tank up.
Yeah.
But Hillside Road is a tank. There's a tank down on Pleasant Street. We got
It just
plenty.
seemed close. I mean, there's a well right there and our
Yeah,
house
you
is
would
right
think,
there.
you would
and-
think, yeah, that
but-
everybody's line doesn't go to that well, though. It feeds the system. Whatever it's
see.
calling for, if you got less pressure going towards town, it's gonna go towards town. It's
Okay,
gonna
well,
fill
the
pipes.
DPW seemed to know which well it was, because they said they're aware of a problem in our area,
Okay,
but they don't have to fix it quite yet.
yeah,
But,
but they didn't say it came from this well.
well, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
That's my concern, though, is adding so much more, drawing so much more from here gonna do anything, you know, so that's my concern.
Thank you. No, she hasn't had it. She's already had a turn. Your turn.
I just have a question.
Okay.
One sentence.
You can ask it next. Stay right there, don't go back. Go ahead.
Dominic Leo, 5 High Ridge Circle, Franklin. Maybe a different question. Has there been a soils boring done on this property yet?
They've done soil tests, borings also.
So the soil conditions, as far as being a farm and contaminants, has that been identified?
I don't think they checked for contaminants, did they?
No, we did a geotech boring study to determine what type of foundation design we would have, elevation of the water table. Our phase 1 environmental study came out clean, so we no need to test anything.
It was dumping them.
I'm just concerned about the neighbors. You're talking about putting deep systems underground. If
They're only talking about putting stormwater systems underground.
I'm
They're not
hearing
doing-
about a tank
Oh, the tank for the sewer, it's just a holding tank. It's gotta be tight. It's gotta be watertight.
I know it's watertight, I'm talking about the depth, and what the soil
And they pump
conditions
out.
are
And they
throughout
pump
the property. I'm thinking more for the abutters, when they start moving soil. If it is deemed contaminated, and I'm hearing it's not, I don't know if that's public knowledge or it's just with the developer. Should be public knowledge to the abutters, if they have soil that's being moved that has not been tested.
You gotta worry about more of the soil that they're bringing into a zone two than the soil. they're
That's the
taking
other
out.
side, yes. Just a
We
concern.
have regulations for that, too.
Okay, just a concern for the abutters.
Okay.
I have a question about school buses. Assuming that if 50 children move into this project, if built, would a school bus come into the complex?
I
And
doubt
would
it very much.
So it would pick kids up on
It'd
140?
stop on 140, just like they do now.
Okay, okay, that sounds
Weren't
dangerous.
you putting a bus turn in there? I don't think so, right?
We already coordinated with the school department on this. They would pick up school children at the street.
At the street, that's what I thought.
That
That's
wouldn't
the way
come-
that's the way most other things work.
Okay, thank you.
Except maybe Glen Meadows, I don't know if they drive, but I think they pick them up at the intersection out on 140 also.
So when I lived in Chestnut Ridge, our bus pickup was on 140, and that didn't feel safe to me to
Wow.
put my kindergartner out on 140.
Yeah.
So-
Well, you just know that things haven't changed in all that time.
No change.
Anyone else?
Maybe it should.
Ted? Ted's sleeping. Want to speak, Ted?
No, I'm all set.
Okay.
Tom said enough.
All right, then. I'll entertain a motion to continue this until September 25th at 7:40.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded to continue this hearing until September 25th at 7:40. All those, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, none. We have minutes.
Thank you.
We got to approve. We had a thing, because Casey was concerned about that July 17th.
Seconded.
Anyway, July 31st. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, none. Casey, is July 17th in here? Oh, that's right, too. You were just getting the minutes ready. Do we got minutes we got to do? Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded for adjournment, non-debatable. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, none.